And we are live. What's happening?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Been a long time.
It
It's been a
has.
minute.
It's been a minute.
How you doing?
Doing good. Real busy. Life is busy. Life has been
Life,
busy for several months. So,
yeah, life. Yeah, life's doing life things.
yep.
Imani is on vacation for everybody who is curious, so she'll be back on the next show
Yeah, she's in where? Bahamas.
in the islands. She's down in the
Nice.
islands.
Nice.
I think she said that on the last show, but we do every other week now. So,
Coconut
but
rumps.
yeah, man, so we got two topics we're gonna talk about. We're gonna get into that's Secret
Yeah.
Invasion and Oppenheimer. We had the finale for Secret Invasion a couple weeks ago now, but that's plenty of time to kind of reflect on our summation of the series and how we feel about
Yep.
everything. So that's gonna be
E-
our opening topic. We're gonna go ahead and close that one out. JVM, do you want to start? Or you want me to go?
Uh, let's see. Secret Invasion it was up until the finale. It was my favorite show on Disney Plus from the MCU phase release. Finale happens, and I'm just like, damn, conflicted. I still like the
Definitely.
rest of the show, but that finale is just. I mean, I like the finale. I like and dislike it. I don't. I didn't like the direction with the Super Scroll fight. I liked how it ended though, with the world, hunting down scrolls. I didn't really necessarily agree with the president's like personality switch when he gave that speech. I thought that was out of the blue.
Yeah,
Um,
that did feel out of character.
yeah. Uh, I felt relief when it wasn't actually Fury up there with Gravik because I was like, what is going on? This
Okay.
this don't
Yeah.
make sense. And then when it happened, I'm like, okay, relief. And then I'm thinking, and I'm like, how did she get there?
Same. I was confused that whole flight because I was like, I don't understand what's happening here. Like how, like
Yeah, like
what's
because she
going
was
on?
the last time we
I'm like,
saw her, she was at Fury's house, right, with his wife,
yeah, that was, and then,
and that's in America.
but there was no transition. Like there was nothing. I guess they wanted to keep it a mystery, but the reveal didn't. The
Yeah,
reveal
it
was
did.
weird too because it was just like I didn't see that transition to her going from Fury to she went from Fury to Fury as a Super Scroll, then back to her, and then it was I was just like, what's happening? I missed the this transition between. It's
Also, I
just
was
like an
wondering
abrupt cut,
why Gravik was in his natural form and she wasn't.
and why? How did he not know that was her and not Fury?
Yeah, aren't they able to tell who's a
He,
scroll? Like, isn't the
they
scroll
should
able to
be able
tell,
to tell.
smell
Yeah,
them or something?
yeah, they should be able to tell. I would assume that he would have been able to tell. Like
I'm not familiar with the comic, uh, scroll comic
I'm not either, to be
storyline.
honest. But it doesn't to me it would seem like you would be able to recognize if a scroll had infiltrated or at least be able to identify someone like her. Like he because to me, I don't know how many interactions they've had. Of course, they've had interactions off camera before the show starts, but I feel like they should be familiar enough with one another to be able to know when one was, who's who, even if they're in disguise.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like they should have been able to identify each other. Um, I agree. That fight was the worst part of the entire show for me. Like that fight was terrible. Like
I tried to like it.
it
I
was
tried to like it.
it really ruined the show. I think I posted that in Discord. Like to me that whole fight was just completely pointless. It was useless. It didn't live up. There was no hype for it. First and foremost,
Mhm.
there was no build up towards this confrontation, and when it happened, it was underwhelming and it was resolved way too quickly. And um, I don't understand. any any aspect of that fight. Like it makes no sense to me. Like
Yeah,
of
I
a
don't.
scroll that has the powers of several Avengers, all who are very very strong, all who are not easy to take down, not easy to kill, and she like was able to one shot him in the end. Even though I feel like my memory might be a little foggy, but I feel like he took they both took shots from that Captain Marvel type blast
Yeah,
and
they
were
did.
fine. And he she hits him one time with one, and like he's cooked, and I'm just like, what? Like
Yeah,
it felt forced, and um it was like an article or something that was posted saying that that Kevin Feige had requested that the Super Scroll fight be in there, and to me, I was like, oh, so because he made that request, they had to shoehorn that in there, and it completely threw off the cadence of the story. Like
yeah.
they
The
had a
story
nice.
didn't need a Super Scroll fight.
It didn't need that. That fight was not necessary. It was a nice like super spy type of film,
It was
type
very
of show.
personal. It was a personal story. Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't need that. I didn't need a resolution to this conflict here in the story. Like I felt like that this needed to linger. Like we needed to. This is where we needed a cliffhanger. Like
yeah,
where okay, all cards on the table, all sides are revealed. Everybody knows what everybody's doing now. Like we have something to look forward to in another installment, whether it's a season two or in an upcoming movie or something like where okay, now we got to deal with the Super Scrolls. We know that there's a plot. We know that Russia is not involved, or vice versa. We know like everybody knows now that they've been infiltrated. So like, what are you going to deal? Like the fallout of that, like you having to deal with that, is like a very compelling conflict that I think a lot of fans would have been excited to look forward to in upcoming projects, because it's like,
yeah,
yo, that's a quite a dilemma. Like now every single world government has been infiltrated for scrolls, and for how long, and like you don't know who has been captured, and who's not. And I like that whole. I would have rather lived with that mystery of wanting to know what happens next.
yeah. That would have been
Like,
a good place to end it at. Um, but I don't know, man. These I think it's I mean, if Feige really did shoehorn that in, then that's unfortunate.
and see, I don't know if he's shoehorned it in, but I think that because he made the request, they decided to go for it. I feel like because it
Suge
came
gets
from
what
him.
Suge wants.
Yeah, basically that's what happened. Like because he asked for it, they decided to do it, and it's like, well, you as a creative, like you need to have some sort of leverage, or like not leverage, but you got to be able to stand on your story and say, like, this isn't gonna. We just don't see how this services the story. Like we can do it, but it's not. And then if he overrides them at that point, then okay, I see you. But
Yeah. And
just for him to
another
ask to do
question:
it, it's like, why?
of all the DNA of all the heroes, right? The one that I'm trying to understand the most is the Hulk DNA and how that doesn't just transform them into the Hulk.
And how does that not kill them too? Because like
You got to have certain
it's yeah,
compatibility, right?
it's supposed to be lethal to everybody except for like She-Hulk, but I think it's because they're genetically related. So that's the exception for She-Hulk. But like for everybody else, like his blood's supposed to be toxic. It's supposed to kill you. Like if he bleeds on you, you're cooked. Essentially,
Right.
it's full of gamma radiation. Like nobody. Well, I guess they're scrolls, so I guess the radiation aspect of it wouldn't affect them. So maybe that's it. Didn't really think about that till now. So I guess
Yeah,
that's maybe.
maybe we just solved that one.
Yeah. Mystery solved. That was a good I didn't think about that, but that was a good query. So um yeah, I that whole that entire episode felt rushed to me. Like it was moving way faster than every other episode. Like
Hmm.
it's it was like, oh, we gotta resolve all these things. And it's kind of like it would have been cool if that hadn't been resolved. Like leave some some mystery, like maybe foil the plot, right, and expose the truth, and then um
You know what else? It was the Gravik's leadership just crumbled
yeah,
in the final
overnight.
episode. Overnight crumbled.
It's
That
like
was
Act 4 of episode 5 is where it started, and then like he completely collapses in like literally nothing had happened. He hadn't even gone through with the plan yet. It's not like his plan had backfired or anything. It was just he just literally
well,
just
one
crumpled.
part did backfire though. The president attack. It was right
Yeah, but
after
I
that.
mean, he should have even still, even
Yeah,
with that, like everything still played into his hand because now the Americans believe that the Russians were in league with the Scrolls and attacked him. So that still plays into his hand, in my opinion. Like that's definitely not anything to fall apart over.
right.
It might have skewed the plan just a little bit, but it still gets, it still leads to the goal. And even if he is willing to sacrifice Scrolls, like that shouldn't affect him because he's like, well, this is just if we want to win, if we want to actually take control of the earth, like these sacrifices are going to have to happen.
Yep. Yep. He also seemed like uncharacteristic in how he was responding to his soldiers. Like,
Yeah, he just snapped for no reason.
yeah, I didn't.
It didn't. Maybe I don't know. I can't even. I mean, maybe it's Super Scroll Serum was just like overriding his logic or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it was
can't
a
really
roid
explain that
rage.
one. Yeah, it's a roid rage. Roid for real. That was a real roid rage moment.
Hey
Because I
man,
can't his right hand man, I can't remember his name, but I don't think when he questioned him, I don't even think what he was questioning him about was like all that serious. It didn't warrant that type of response.
right?
Like he overreacted to that in episode 5, and I was just like, okay, that was weird. Like I didn't think he killed him. Like I just thought he hit him or like like just choked him real quick. I was like Darth Vader, you know what I'm saying? But like he wasn't trying to kill him, but he just straight up killed the dude. I was just like, what?
Yeah,
This is so
yeah.
weird.
Didn't seem very out of place, but I don't know. I guess they did that to lead into the Super Scroll fight.
I guess so. I guess so. And I mean, it's another issue with this just Marvel right now as a whole. Like the direction is very foggy. It's unclear. I don't know what I should be caring about. I don't know what I should be watching. I don't know what I have
Bruh,
to look forward to. Like,
Marvel fell behind their brand, and like the best analogy I have to like convey that is when you're high up on the mountain of success and it's hard to see through the clouds. That's that. You just can't see through the clouds, man. You can't see the base. Can't see the base.
they couldn't
That
couldn't see the forest for the trees.
yeah, the Infinity War phase. That was like that's peak. That's the peak. That's the mountain peak.
Yeah. Um and it just further validates my opinion and things that I've been stating over the past few weeks now about just this overall state of the MCU. Like I feel like they have way too much content that they're pumping out in a short period of time, and they
And
really
it's
need to slow
leading
down.
nowhere. It's
Yeah, they
leading
need to slow
nowhere.
down and like produce less content a
I
year.
guess
Like
it's
we
leading.
don't.
I guess they're making money. I guess. I
I
guess that's
mean, yeah, but at the end of the, even still, like you're at the cost of your fan base and at the cost of the audience's understanding of what's happening. I don't
mm,
think that that's a. I don't think that's worth uh, the the
just
risk.
yeah.
Like it just seems like you're forcing an unnecessary. You already, to your point, you're already at the top of the mountain. Like right now, the only thing that can bring down Marvel is Marvel. So, and that's literally what's happening. Like they are,
They're in decline.
yeah, and it's
There's
self
moments of
inflicted.
excitement and exhilaration, but you only feel that because you're in such a steep decline.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
you feel a little something. Shout out Black Panther 2. That was one of the moments of excitement.
Yeah, that's a highlight, right? But at the end of the day, it's like where does that lead? Like what is from that point, what do I have to look forward to? Like what can I expect now from that? Like I don't know. I don't know. Like right now, I'm like, yo, just I feel like stepping taking a step back from Marvel for a while just to see like how it
Embrace
all shakes back.
DC. Embrace
I
James
can't do
Gunn.
that either because I like I said like I mean they have to put out some content that can actually stick because like Flash was terrible. That was horrible. That was hot garbage, bro. Like,
Flash was
oh
like
my goodness, man.
the trailer tricked me. I don't
The
really
tr-
get tricked by trailers often.
yeah, that one.
That trailer tricked me.
It wasn't the trailer.
Bamboo.
It's not the trailer though, bias. It's the momentum that you carried in because of the hype for James Gunn and what he's planning to do, and hopefully will execute much better than what we've seen from DC so far. I think that kind of helped propel that trailer to other heights for a lot of people.
Hmm.
But literally, I mean, all of the best parts are in that trailer. Like this, and it's literally just those highlights, like which those sequences that you see. That's it. It's nothing else to that movie.
I got a question. Did they throw in the baby scene in the beginning to like help win over the man's
I don't
public
know,
appeal?
man. I don't
'Cause
know.
that was
It was
wild.
just that was disgusting. That was terrible. Like I cringed. That was such a cringe moment for me because it was like how do you watch that as a producer or in the editing room and go like yeah this is great. Like clearly the people over there at Warner Brothers in DC like they are just
Crack
completely out of
sales
touch.
booming.
Crack sales booming
Man,
clearly because what
yeah,
like what
yeah.
the best part of that story was Supergirl. That should have been the movie. To hell with the Flash. Just like take out the Supergirl part and then build the story around her and then do some rewrites and then
Yeah.
go back and shoot
She
that. That was the best
even
part of the movie.
even her presence was pointless.
Yeah, at the end of the day, because it's like, so what is she actually here to do but die repeatedly? Like,
Yeah.
like
It's like, man, this is some hot garbage.
they built her up and then just killed her like 5 times in a row. And you're just like, yo, what is
And then
happening?
Bruce Wayne, they made him act like a just foolish. Like you throwing spaghetti at people? What are you doing? I was just like, man, this is
It was giving
bizarre.
me
It felt bizarre.
those Josh Whedon flashbacks of the Justice League, the original Justice League. Just the
Yeah,
oh, it was that cringe, man. It was just nah, that was not it. That was not it.
yeah, what? But we'll see. We'll
Fortunately
see what the
though,
new wave does. He's making
fortunately,
what Superman now? The new Superman story.
yeah, he's got a new Superman story.
Oh,
Um,
1 second. I know this is the cookout, but recently and lately, I don't ever see anybody eating on here, so I
you're
had
the
to bring
only
it back.
one.
I'm the only one. I made burgers, and I'm gonna eat it.
You bring the food and the sponsorships.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's I mean that's all I got to say on Secret Invasion. To be honest, I don't have anything. You know what's funny though? I will say that it feels like it did the exact opposite of what Loki did. Like I feel like all 5 episodes of Loki were like mediocre, and then the finale was just like, okay, here we go. Now we're going somewhere. Like that one actually finished like, oh, we're going somewhere. Like this is gonna do something. Like this is gonna be pretty cool to
Speaking of
watch.
Loki, now that I've seen Quantum Mania, bruh,
Loki was better.
I mean Loki as a show, but like the story ended with the big bad villain, and I'm not feeling the big bad villain, and can't. It's just not happening. Quantum
Yeah,
Mania ruined that expectation.
yeah. That wasn't the story I was expecting. For the most part, because that was like the worst possible ending and direction that I think that they could have gone with that character. Um, and then like when we reviewed that, I mentioned that there are connections with the Loki show and Quantum Mania that are not explicitly stated in the movie. Like you would need to watch Loki to understand. Like I think some of those things that were happening and how uh, time works and how the other aspects of time travel works on in the quantum realm. Like a lot of that was explained in the Loki show, and you kind of just they kind of just thrust the audience into that without
What
any
part?
type of.
What parts?
I mean, just everything. Like just how like
Just how the world works
yeah, just how that
or the
world works,
universe works. Right,
that
right.
universe, and how time works, and like the timelines and all of that stuff, and like because they really, I feel like Loki actually did a really good job of explaining how these timelines in divergent timelines work, and like I feel like having that knowledge, I'm curious if for the people who didn't see Loki, like how they view that movie, because
I
there were
feel like
certain
it's not a
things.
far leap to grasp. I mean, it's the quantum realm. You just it just it's a quantum realm. You know, things work different. I feel like that's all the explanation we need.
You think so? I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not like the movie was complicated to follow story wise. You know,
Yeah,
there was no real technical pieces in the story that were challenges for the characters to get over. It was just how do we get home?
I think that the build up though for that for Kang was better executed in Loki than it
Absolutely,
was
absolutely.
in um
The execution of Kang and Loki was better
was so much better because he felt like that felt like a proper execution of Kang. Like
because he was
he's
surrounded
shrouded
by
in mystery.
seriousness, and that's
Yeah.
like before that movie came out. That was my doubt. I said, if you have this serious character and you surround him with foolishness and and comedy, it's not gonna work. It's gonna saturate his character, and that's exactly what happened for me.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't take him serious. He's gonna lose to this family of comedian ant scientists.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Bite
All
into this
right.
burger.
Um
Mm-hmm.
on to Oppenheimer.
I've been
That
listening to that
movie.
soundtrack every morning. Every morning I
Oh
play that
man.
soundtrack.
I should I had
Bro,
I didn't even think about getting that soundtrack. But
it's good for the body to get those vibrations.
oh
Early
man,
morning vibrations. Yeah, that's
that's
good.
good.
But yeah, Nolan is a what makes his direction style like unique is his like attention to sound, music, and even like visual detail because they all convey like emotion in each scene that you watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you feel what the character's feeling, and that's a captivating feeling and rewarding experience.
It
Just carries
is
you through the entire story.
in like every aspect of the film is part of the story. Like the sound is part of the story, the audio, the dialogue, the cinematography, the editing, and the style of editing.
Yeah, it's like he
Everything
has
just
a vision. He has a grand vision,
gives
and he's
he has
able
a
to pull it together.
he has a clear understanding of what he's trying to do and what he wants and how he wants everything to be received by the audience. Like, and it's he's in a class of his own for sure as
Yeah.
far as
Now,
director goes. He doesn't miss.
with that being said, there is some legitimate critique to this movie that I gotta say when I watched it and scenes popped up, I was just like, "What?" The
All
way
right.
the depiction of the romantic relationships in the movie were like the most out of place thing about the movie. Like none of it fit, especially the sex scene, the first sex scene. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. You talking about when she had him reading the
What
Hebrew script.
what was that? What was that?
I don't know.
First of all, if you got a dinner party and you're talking game to somebody and you want to cut to them in the bed, the pickup line has to work. There was no pickup line. It was just them talking back and forth about random. Like I was like, what are they talking about? First of all, and then they show the titties, and then I'm just like, where are we doing? Who told Nolan yes to this?
Well, I don't know, but if that's, I wonder if that is a, um, if that's an accurate account of what happened. Because if that's how the
Absolutely
story
not.
was told, then like
Absolutely,
I can understand that. I
nah.
mean,
Ain't no
I
way
guess
that happened. She cool. They
what?
ride. She on top of him. She gets off of him. Picks up a random book from the bookshelf. It's Sanskrit, and she tells him to read it. And the line he reads is, "I am become death," and she starts to ride him again. No way that
Oh
happened in real life.
no,
That-
probably not.
yeah, no way.
Probably not that part for sure.
That was bizarre. I was like, man, no, somebody should have told Nolan no on that one because that was out of pocket. That was out of pocket.
Yeah, yeah.
And every scene with her, it just seemed like there was no. I just felt like if they needed to make it fit, they would have had to make the movie that much longer. So they just had to throw in those parts. But it really, for me, felt out of place. It didn't really have any substance to it. It all felt like forced. Even the wife, she didn't start fitting in until later in the movie, and even then, it still felt awkward. Like,
Yeah, but he doesn't. His based on his, I don't think based on his depiction of his character, it doesn't seem like he's too much of a. He's
nice,
not a very
nice man.
sociable guy. Like he doesn't his. He's too much of a, I guess, too much of a scientist. Like I don't think he has a personality beyond his work.
I think the opposite. I think he's full of personality, and that's why he was able to pull so many women, and that's why he was able to lead Alamos because he was a brilliant mind. That maybe he just didn't give a damn about nothing but like what he cared about. But like I didn't know he was what they call a womanizer uh, in the movie. I didn't know that about his life until I saw the movie, and I was like, was he really getting all these women? And I looked it up, and it was true. He had like six relationships. And I said,
Oh,
ain't no way. He had no swag in this movie. So I looked up a picture of Oppenheimer and I saw him in Alamos swagged out head to toe. I'm like, okay, I see it now.
it's the drip.
It's the drip. Yeah.
Yeah,
He had some drip to him.
yeah. I mean, I think his intellect by itself was probably attractive, though. I think
Yeah.
because
Oh, no question. No
he's
question.
his confidence and his knowledge of what was fringe science at that point in time. Like this is he's on the he was on the bleeding edge of our understanding of the quantum world. Really, like I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that alone was the allure. And then, of course,
Yeah.
because of how well he dressed, that just was like the nail in the coffin. But to your point, yeah, I do think that those um the creative liberties they took in those sex scenes was interesting. I think the one though that I did I think understand was when he was naked in that
Yeah, that made more
in
sense.
in the interrogation room.
Wait, he was. Oh, I forgot about that.
But
That was poetic
that
though. That
made
was
sense,
creative,
yeah, because he was it was the
honorable.
truth. Like
Yeah.
he was laying bare what actually happened. He was exposing himself to what everybody in the room at that point. Basically, I got the analogy between that. Like I understood that reference really.
Yeah,
creatively, like, oh,
and there
okay,
was
like this is a truth that he has never had to admit to anyone up until that moment. So he felt naked. I totally get that one.
yeah,
But yeah, that one
there
I
were
do
plenty of
agree with.
scenes like that that were like that level of creativity.
Yeah, was
It was
there.
it was all throughout the movie, and that was like my favorite part of it. And a lot he did a lot of it with visuals, like him
Yeah,
being naked, or with him seeing stars, or with him seeing the people of Los Alamos in the stands, and you see their reactions, but you hear chaos in his mind. But everyone's cheering, but you don't hear cheers, you just hear screams, that type of thing. That was
yeah. And then like something that I really liked what it was a real quick scene, but when he was in the when he was in his dormitory or wherever up in Europe, and he
hmm
was throwing the ball against the wall, and then he would break a plate, like
no, that was
like
earlier.
that yeah, him splitting the atom, like him this the whole I really liked what they what like because the creative thought, right, like him trying to understand how the atomic particles work. Like if you continue to split something and break something over and over again, at what point does it cease to exist? Right? Like I thought that was. I think that's what they were referencing in that.
Mm.
She got some visuals.
Yeah, I'm bringing up these visuals so we can show the swag. This is this was this is what I is this Getty images? What is this? Oh, that's the wrong one. It's the next one.
He definitely has a unique silhouette like that.
Look at look at the stance. Look at the stance. He's the only one leaning. I know a pimp lean when I see it. Oh,
And it's the hat too, the brim,
yeah,
like
the hat.
it's all of it. Like, but like he does have a unique silhouette. Like if you were to like, they talk about this with Star Wars, right? Like the characters, like a lot of times the character designers for Star Wars, they talk about like the a character needs to have a unique silhouette. Like
Yeah.
if you were to silhouette them, like you should still be able to identify who that is. Um, just off of their silhouette alone. And he is a person that has a very unique silhouette. When you put that hat on him, and then and you dress him, and you were to put him in silhouette, like you would still be able to say, "Oh yeah, that's Robert Oppenheimer right there." Like that's um definitely a part of his character.
Yeah. It was
But
good.
man, yeah, I loved that movie. Like the
Oh,
intensity, like it didn't feel like it was 3 hours long.
no,
Like
it didn't.
every moment of it felt like there was a you felt the moment in every single moment. Like you felt the pressure, you felt the anxiety, you felt
The
the
intensity was there.
intensity. Like it was in all of it. You felt the mystery, you felt you know what's going to happen, but you still feel like you don't know what the outcome was going to be. Like, and that was really cool. Like that's very hard to execute. Um, from a story standpoint, especially from things that are
And you know what's
um,
poetic about that is those same emotions is what they were feeling in real life during the race to make this bomb.
yeah, you feel,
Feel
and
like
that's
that whole. I feel like that was all intentional.
yeah, you really felt like you were in the moment. You were living with these characters in the moment when it's happening, like trying to beat the Nazis
Yeah.
to this. And then you don't really like not knowing or not having a clear picture of the timelines, me personally, of I knew the Nazis had surrendered prior to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I knew that,
I forgot
but
that.
knowing seeing that play out in the story was like really cool. I really love how they executed that because it's kind of like
That made me
you,
angry.
you still have cool.
I was like,
Man, the world would be so different now if the
do you
Nazis
think?
hadn't surrendered at the time. because those the targets were
Berlin.
Germany and Berlin. Like
You think they
the
would have hit Berlin?
absolutely that was their if that was the goal because they were the real threat to everyone at that time. Like the Japanese were a threat, but they were like the secondary threat. Like they were really
I
the
don't think they
sidekick.
would have hit Berlin. And here's why. Operation Paperclip. At the end of that war, they brought all those Nazis to the U.S. So I don't think they were trying to really damage them like that. They probably would have hit some other cities.
I think
The
that it would have been
conspiracy.
on the table. I think it would have been on the table. I
Yeah.
think that the primary target would have been their wherever they were doing the experiments to develop the nuclear or the atomic bomb. I think that would have been their primary target, and then secondary target for that second bomb might have been Berlin,
Mm.
or it might have been another city, another like um, another
Cologne.
prominent city. Yeah, another big major city within Germany. But I don't. Given Hitler's to
I-
like his given his care, I don't know. Like I feel like they would have if they were going to
But I
do it, they
think
would have to hit Berlin. Like they would have
I
to
think I
target his
think they would have
palace.
still bombed Japan just to show Hitler we can do this to you too. That's what I think they would have did. They would have still bombed Japan.
I
This is my personal thought on that.
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. That to me doesn't. That's to me that's not a tactically sound strategy, especially when you know that they're developing an atomic weapon as well. Like your priority target is going to be wherever they're making that whatever city that research is being conducted in. That's going to be your target number one.
Mm.
Stop their research and make sure that they can't develop the weapon or at least put a real uh, delay it for as long as possible. Because if you hit, like they knew where Alamos was, like they knew that they were doing research. Like had they developed their bomb first, I would imagine that Alamos would have been their first target, and then they would have hit DC.
Would they have been able to hit Alamos? It's in the middle of the country. I don't think they would have made it through air defense.
Oh, yeah, they would have definitely made it. We
Yeah.
didn't. It's not like yeah, because yeah, you'd have. They didn't have like SAM site. They had AAA batteries like in flat cannons. Like yeah, they would have been able to get through because they would have gone through. Um, it depends on where they would have came in from. Like they
From
probably would have
Canada?
come up through Mexico. No, they would have come up through Mexico more than likely because they were Mexico would have been least likely to put up any type of resistance. They probably would have made a deal with Mexico.
Mexico would make sense because they were in Alamos was in New Mexico, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, more. I mean, they probably would have tried because I think if I'm not mistaken, they were in communication with the Mexican government about a possible invasion of the United States, and that was their plan was to go through Mexico
I'm about to Google that.
because at the time relationships with Mexico, I believe, were not all that great because of the recent history at the time and how much land they lost to the Americans when they
Germany.
conquered the West.
The telegram further conveyed Germany's intentions should America enter the war. That included urging Mexico to join Germany in declaring war against the United States. In exchange, Germany committed to assist Mexico in regaining its lost territories of Arizona, Texas, and New Mexico. All right, so they were
Because
gonna try to pivot.
they knew the research was being done in Los Alamos. Like they had spies in Los Alamos, just like the Russians had spies. Everybody had spies. The British had spies. Like espionage is a
Real thing.
ruleless world. They don't there are no rules in espionage.
Yeah.
Like like we got our allies have spies operating in our soil on our soil. We got spies operating on their soil. Like it's nothing. There are no rules in that world. It's a fickle environment for sure.
Yeah, it's an intriguing world, definitely.
Yeah,
Spy.
it's different.
Speaking of that, in the movie, they were spying on Oppenheimer, and
Yeah,
after he went to visit one of his girlfriends, they paid her a visit, or did they? Because in one of the scenes, they did a quick edit to be like, was she killed or did she commit suicide?
yeah.
Because it
I
happened after he met her, and they
would.
it leads you to believe did they kill her as like to eliminate any possible threat of a leak.
Well, I mean, she was a communist. Like, in the communists at that time were like the enemies. So I would assume that they. I don't think that was suicide.
I don't either.
I think they made it look like suicide, but they, given
Yeah,
her ties and her connections, like, yeah, they were like, they took her out for sure.
he was too important to be seen with her,
Yeah.
and they
Like,
were
they
already.
couldn't do anything to him because of how important he was. They needed him for the bomb, but like, she was definitely expendable.
Yeah, yeah.
She was definitely like a,
She was a free
yeah,
radical.
yeah, yeah. So, and they absolutely, in my opinion, they did that. It is what it is, but like that was too much. They had people
Cold
in
blooded.
the building. They had people. We saw they had people in the building. They knew where he was. They knew where she was, and then she committed suicide same day. Too much of a coincidence, my opinion. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And this wasn't the first time he left her, so like
no, what neither.
she
They
didn't
had
take.
plausible deniability. Like that's the thing. Like he, because of his actions in his history with her, gave them all the plausible deniability they needed.
Yeah, yeah, man.
And then she wrote a letter.
Nah, she ain't writing no
She didn't
letters.
write no damn letter. They wrote that letter. They planted that in that room.
That this movie was based on a book. I didn't know that until like the end.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
the book is called American Prometheus, and that is a cool name.
Exactly what he is.
Yeah,
Exactly what
American
he was.
Prometheus. Like that's
I
a
love
dope.
that analogy too,
Yeah,
because they explained that in the beginning. That all makes sense. That all makes sense.
yeah. So I wonder how much of the book detailed his those relationships he had to make it make more sense. You know what I mean?
Worth investigating. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Now, um, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance.
he might win some awards, bro.
He
He
gonna
killed it, man.
he's gonna have to win some awards, man.
He killed
I was in there watching. I was like, he killing this role
it.
right now. Like he
Yeah,
is in flow state.
he did. I mean, yeah, that was his best performance. I feel strongly that was his best performance. Like that was monumental. That was great. Like
Yeah,
he was fantastic.
yeah,
He
yeah.
was fantastic. I told like the best part for me was when um Alden Ehrenreich's character, his assistant, the guy that was in his cabinet, who you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When he at the end, when he told him like, well, maybe they weren't talking about you, man, like his expression, I was like, yo, this man never even thought about the fact that they weren't even talking about.
Yeah,
Like, he
but
was so he.
that's what makes it so
That's what made
good
it
because
so great
he
because
represented
he had
the
solely convinced himself that like
yeah
whatever Oppenheimer said to um why am I blanking on his name?
Albert Einstein.
Yeah, Einstein. What? That is so weird. Whatever he said to Einstein had to be about him. He could from the big opening sequence in the movie when that interaction happens from that moment on, he had convinced himself
Yeah,
that whatever he said to him was about him. Like it had nothing to do with what they were on.
yeah. I love that scene though. He said maybe it just wasn't about you. You know, like and
Bro,
look
he
that
crumbled.
That
Oh
spoke to the
man.
bigger picture in the film of what Oppenheimer was trying to get people to understand by the end of it. That like
Yeah.
we got to stop thinking about ourselves and think about the bigger picture. And that's why Strauss's character works so well as like
Yeah.
the ultimate antagonist because he was like a symbolic representation of that. And that another reason why I love the movie. It was just like everything plays,
Yes.
everything plays, except for the romantic relationships. That shit was weird.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was yeah, but I mean overall, like God, 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
It was great. That was the best movie I've seen this year, easily, hands down, not even close. Like they're gonna get a bunch of nominations and they're gonna clean house come award season because I don't know what else is gonna come out that's gonna be better or anywhere near as good as that was. Like
yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
I sat right where Nolan told me to sit too. Middle, couple rows back from the middle, from the center middle in IMAX. So it was good. It was a fun time. I'd watch it
Yeah,
again in the theater.
it's definitely a theatrical experience. It's definitely you need to go see that in the theater once at
There
least.
were a couple. I forgot to mention this earlier. There were a few weird editing choices that like legit made me laugh out loud in the movie when no one else did. It was just
I'm
like
curious.
so. The first one was when Rami Malek introduced his scientist friend at some party, and it just came out of the blue. And the dude, I can't explain it because I halfway remember it, so I don't want to mess it up. But it just did not. It did not fit with with the energy. It just was like a abrupt stop. That was just comical because that scientist character was a little goofy. That was one. And then toward the end of the movie, it was nighttime. It was a black and white scene, if I remember right. Nighttime outside of Oppenheimer's house. It was when he just lost his security credentials, I think, or the night before he was gonna lose them.
Hmm.
And like somebody left and drove off in the taxi or in the car. And like as soon as the car drives off, Albert Einstein comes out of nowhere from the other side of the road
Oh
when
yeah,
the
yeah,
car drives off, and he's in a robe just wondering. I'm like, does this man
yeah.
have dementia? Like, where he come from? Is he lost?
Oh my gosh.
Like that moment,
Yeah,
me and my friend went to watch it. We started laughing, and like nobody else was laughing. But it was just one of those moments. Like it was a weird. It's a weird
that
edit.
was that was a weird edit because like you forget that he had that house on Cambridge because he was
Yeah,
staying in Cambridge and they were both staying in Cambridge at the
the
time. So I'm
short
assuming,
commute.
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
short commute. Like he was basically just right across the river from or the pond from
from the building.
Oppenheimer. So like, but you forget that because you only saw it at the beginning of the movie, and then the rest of it they're in Los Alamos,
Yeah,
and
and
then
like in the beginning of the movie, you didn't really see his house like that. You saw it from a distance,
yeah, you saw it from
and you
through the
never
window.
saw Einstein's house, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
no, you
So
just saw him. He was standing at the lake or the pond or wherever that was, and then you see the house off in the distance, and like he's in the middle ground.
yeah,
The house is in the background, and you're like, but and then yeah, that was a strange edit. I remember that, like seeing that because he just popped up like out of nowhere and just like, bro, is he having a vision or is this man actually standing here right now? What's
he was
happening?
really there, and he looked like disheveled. I was like, man, what is this? Like this, it took me out of the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Albert Einstein looked kind of off the whole movie too. But now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, but it wasn't
Oh
bad.
my, yo, another one, great moment. Uh, was it Woodrow Wilson, the president? Um, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Wilson. Who was it? It was
Truman, talking about
Truman.
Truman. Yeah, you mean the actor that played him?
That was Gary Oldman.
Yeah,
But like that scene, in there when he told him like, "Oh, what do you want us to do with the land?" He told him give him back to the Indians, and he just stared at him. Oh, almost everybody in my theater laughed. Like that was funny. Like I was like, "Yo, that was a great moment."
yeah.
Real
Laugh.
short scene. I thought that was I love that scene.
Yeah,
I love that scene. That was great. And he told him get that don't let that crybaby back in here or whatever.
yeah.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
Cry baby. Just the audacity.
The audacity. But yo, you know what's also crazy about that is Gary Oldman also played um uh the what's
Winston
the British
Churchill.
prime, yeah, Churchill.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's
He can
played,
play anybody. Gary
yeah,
Oldman.
but like the funny like he played Truman and Churchill, so like that's crazy because like they were both, he played the same, they same era, same time period, two presidents or two leaders that actually had good relations and interact with one another, and then have very similar personalities and he's very similar portrayals in the movie. I thought it was, I just appreciated that, like that casting choice, that
Mm,
direction, because he was like, I didn't even think about who would play Truman, but like seeing it was Gary Oldman, I was like, this makes way too much sense. This is perfect casting. Like he's definitely, he did a great job at that role. I don't even know if, I guess that's a supporting character, but like, you
more
know,
like a cameo. He wasn't even
cameo, right?
as
He's
a
not even
cameo.
in there long enough. But you know, yeah, Robert Downey Jr. supporting actor. He's definitely going to get that supporting actor award for sure. Because
He needs
otherwise,
to
it's
sweep.
robbery.
He needs to sweep it. Yeah.
If you don't win that, that's crazy. It's like complete. It's absurd.
Ryan Gosling gonna win it. Yo, that's hilarious.
Oh man, that would be so crazy. I would stop watching the show at that point. I wouldn't even watch anymore. Like if he's they, don't get me wrong. I haven't even seen Barbie, so I don't even know what his performance is like. But I can't imagine it was better than what Robert Downey Jr. did in this movie. I just can't imagine it. Just can't.
that
I can't imagine it.
would be hilarious.
Maybe at like Teen Choice Awards,
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
see that him beating out Robert Downey Jr. in that category for sure. Absolutely makes sense.
yeah.
Something like that. But no.
That was a good
Oh,
connection though you made with Winston Churchill. His when he played him. I didn't think of that with Gary Oldman.
bro, all this look, this happened. All that popped in my head while I was watching the scene. I was like, and I don't think anybody else made that connection because it's like, I don't know. I looked around to see if anybody else had that, like their light bulb was on, and nobody seemed to really put
Bro,
that
the
together.
person to my right smelled like cumin.
Bro, let me tell you,
Terrible. It was
somebody, some
terrible.
there was a couple that came in that did the Barbenheimer showing, and like the girl, you could smell her perfume as soon as she walked into the theater. Like, and then
Mm,
she sat like right beside us, and it was like, yo. Eventually, my nose got used to it and just blocked it out. But like that was very strong,
mm.
very strong.
Yeah, the theater was packed with all the
The
um
Barbenheimer folk.
not even just like the Barbie energy, like it like cliques of people, all pink, all did up
Oh,
outfits,
just in the
taking
theater itself.
selfies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was fun energy to be around. I'll probably
It was an
wait
event.
for streaming though to watch it on stream with Monica or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I would check it out at some point.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's really, got any more to add to my
I feel like there's something. Well, okay, what was your favorite moment in the movie? I don't know if you mentioned that or not yet.
hmm. Jeez, I got a couple. Um, I'm pretty. It's definitely the moment. What we talked about with Robert Downey Jr. and that realization. That was definitely my favorite moment. Um, but also God, I don't know. It's hard to pick one. Yeah, I'll go with that. I don't.
I think it. My favorite moment, I think, was when they had just completed the successful test in Alamos, and then he went back into the gym hall or the wherever
Oh
building
yeah,
that.
no. You're talking about after they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or like right after the test.
Was it after the test or after the bomb? It was
I
when
think.
they were all the people were cheering for him.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was after the bombing. That wasn't after
Oh,
the test.
oh,
Because
was that?
remember, like this, what had happened was like they didn't get any news. Like the general was going to tell them. He said, I'll update you as soon as I can." They got no update. The only update they got was over the radio when Eisenhower announced that they had bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Okay, I remember that. Yeah,
and
'cause
the
he started.
Japanese had surrendered.
Yeah. So
And
in
so
that scene with him, like seeing the devastation,
yeah,
while we were also seeing the crowd cheer.
and
That
then you could hear the cries and the screams intertwined with that. Man,
yeah,
that's one of those that's editing moments.
yeah.
Oh, the editing in that was crazy.
That was like yeah. I was living in that. I was living in that. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
then we see
appreciated that
that.
too because it's like they didn't make him a hero in that moment. Like he really felt there was a conflict. I was conflicted. Kendrick,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
man, like like it's like yo, he thinks he should feel good, but he also understands like what really just happened. Then he's trying to process everything, but he's also like
Yes,
not trying to be like the Debbie Downer because everybody else is like they want to celebrate the moment, and
but
yeah, that
even
was
even bigger than that, it's like this is America,
yeah,
or
yeah,
even you could even say just small town America, however you want
it,
to frame it. But it was just like the mentality of one versus the other, thinking big versus thinking small, thinking
it
about
was
yourself
layers.
versus thinking about others. Yeah, it was very layered, and it was just
Layers, man.
yeah,
It was good. And then like think about like in times of war during that time period, like how disconnected the world was at that point in time. Like you don't have any type of mass communication at the extent that we have now. Like you don't see it, all these cultures, and you don't have the same exposure to people across the world as we do today. Like so it's easy for you to view someone or groups of people that you've never actually had interactions with as your as an
enemy.
adversary because of something that happened, Pearl Harbor being that like that the government used to rally everybody against the Japanese and to really get everybody on board with declaring war on Japan and Germany and the
Yeah,
axis powers. And like so like now everything their entire worldview is based off of that event. And so like now your sentiment towards the Japanese people is tied entirely to the Pearl Harbor. And like this now is the kickback for that. And it's like, yo, these don't add up. You know what I'm saying? Like this one, the response outweighs the actual attack, like by a lot,
yeah, yeah,
by a lot. But in the moment, like that's not even they don't factor all that in. It's just we won. It's over. We have to celebrate, and it's because of us and the work that we did here that we have won the war, and there's now peace restored. Like that, man. That's such a great.
that was my favorite scene.
That's up there. That was fantastic. That was
Yeah, I
fantastic.
would I would go watch that movie just to see that scene again. And another favorite scene of mine, real simple, but just because of how Robert Downey Jr. was doing. He was in his bag. The table scene, the table scene in Chicago, that whole round table talk.
Yes.
I was loving
Yes.
that. I was loving
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and the way he was narrating it, I was
Yeah.
just like, "Yo, this thing is like." on the money with this. Right
Yeah,
on the.
and you know, the development of the H bomb and like how that like I because I didn't even think about like how that played into everything. Like man,
So
it was so cool, man. That was
yeah.
just how
So what's the main difference in the A bomb and H bomb?
it's far more powerful, like tremendously more powerful than
Yeah, but like, what's the? I want to know. I want to know what the like technical difference is. Let's go. Let's ask. Let's tap into Earth's database.
but like I know the Tsar bomb that Russia developed was an H bomb. It was a hydrogen bomb, and it's I think it's still the most powerful nuclear device ever detonated by a lot.
Wow. Oh, speaking of, yeah, that little fact that they dropped in the movie where up until that time, the largest explosion was that ship of ammunitions
Yeah, the
at
biochemical explosion.
yeah that in 17. How big was that explosion? Equivalent to I forget, but it was just like
It's like a couple
wow.
hundred kilotons, I believe.
Yeah, hydrogen bomb has the potential to be 1,000 times more powerful than an atomic bomb. What the hell?
Yeah, like you never seen that the chart of the explosions and like because the Russians they still have that the Tsar bomb. It's TSAR
That's
and like because you can see it on the scale, like it's unbelievable. And they actually detonated that in over Siberia or somewhere like I think off of an island off of the in the North Sea, like close to the
okay. So helium uses so A bomb uses uranium and plutonium, uranium or plutonium. To to get an H bomb, you have to build on top of that with two more isotopes of hydrogen called uh, deuterium and tritium. I think I'm saying that
tritium.
right. Tritium.
Yeah, tritium.
Yeah. It also relies on fusion, whereas the atom bomb relied on fission.
Tritium is tri. It's a I think a triple.
Yeah, fusion is a triple atom. Takes two separate atoms and putting them together to form a third atom.
Yeah, but no, tritium is like three hydrogens.
Oh, three. I see. I see.
So like it. So now that and that's what makes it like crazy powerful because you've got like this. It's a triple helix or triple fusion of bombs, but like you have that radical hydrogen that is also you know it's not just hydrogen. It's three hydrogen, which I think it's rare on Earth, but like it's very abundant up in out in space. I want to say, and what's crazy is like the only reason I know about the tritium and um, tritium is because of like space engineers and other other games where you need to mine that as a resource because they use it to power certain nuclear power plants to for your ships and stuff.
Mm, yeah, that's crazy, man. That stuff crazy.
Yeah, man, that atomic world is different.
The aliens did it.
Wild, wild. I'm glad I'm. They didn't touch on that. Like that's the funny thing. I thought that could have added a whole nother layer.
Yeah, right. That's for the
All the
sequel.
reported sites, like man, because it's a lot of um reported sightings around alleged alleged sightings around nuclear sites around the world and especially around the U.S.
Yeah. After the movie, I was talking to my friend, and we were like, "I wonder what type of casualties happen, like accidents happen on Los Alamos." So we Googled it, and it was a lot of damn accidents. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people were dying, but not. It was like only a few scientists from like the nuclear stuff. Like somebody spilled something on the floor, leaked heavy radiation, killed him. Somebody else dropped something on that. You see that graphite sphere when they were like
Yeah.
placing it carefully. I think somebody dropped some substance on that or something like that, but it killed them.
I
Um,
saw. Okay, so maybe I don't know if this is the same thing, but I saw something about somebody. They had the sphere, like it's basically like two halves of a sphere, and like the reaction happens when the two halves meet, and they were prying it open with like a spatula or something like rudimentary, and like the spatula became dislodged, and like there was this white flash, and like the guy who was standing right next to it, like he basically was just like, well, that's it for me. And like a couple days later he died of radiation sickness. Like
yeah,
stuff like that was happening. I'm like, yo, that is crazy.
yeah,
Like
it is
the
wild.
safety like they had no safety protocols for any of this stuff. Like everything was,
Yeah.
they didn't know what to do.
Most
Like,
of the casualties came from construction workers
oh yeah,
building that
they
city
damn sure
real
didn't
quick.
know what to do.
Yeah, people, horse accidents, drownings, stuff like that. It was just like, damn, the whole like, I think like 40 something, maybe even, hold on, let me double check.
Bro, survival
Yeah,
was low.
how they, as fast as they built that town, I'm not surprised there were that many construction deaths.
Yeah, for sure.
And they didn't cover that at all in the movie, which was interesting.
Yeah, interesting omission. But I mean, at the end of the day, like it's where do you focus the story? I think the focus was right
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely, yeah,
because
definitely
it's
right.
not a documentary. It's like so they can't they gotta they gotta serve as a story.
24 deaths during that period, during the Manhattan Project.
Sheesh.
Yeah, 24. They include critically accidents that, uh, yeah, one child drowned in a pond, several in construction, driving, and horse riding accidents. I can definitely believe the horse riding too, because they were out in the open country. They were probably like riding fast, fell off a horse, hit your head,
Mm-hmm.
done.
Yeah, ride fast. Horse gets spooked by something, sees a rattlesnake, hears something, like it bucks them, and they're
Yeah,
going 40 miles an hour on a horse, and they get bucked off. You're done. You're not surviving that. Um, yeah, people live different, man. It's a whole different type of lifestyle.
it was.
Different
That's
type of
crazy.
lifestyle,
I
man.
knew nothing about any of that before I watched the movie. Like, I was like, what? They built a town?
Oh yeah,
What?
so you didn't know that's what the
Knew,
Nuketown map was based
I
off?
knew nothing about that.
That's
Nothing.
wild.
Yeah,
That's wild. I bet a lot of people didn't know that either. Like,
yeah.
because
I
I
just
knew.
assumed Nuketown was just a regular like testing site for nuclear stuff. I didn't know it was like
Nah,
Oppenheimer,
it's yeah.
Manhattan Project, boom, boom, boom. Like I didn't know that.
That's exactly what it's from.
Yeah,
Pretty cool. Pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It was.
All right. Well, I think we're over an hour. I think it's time to
It's
wrap
time.
this on up.
Hmm.
All right. Well, dang, I forgot I gotta do closeout. I hadn't done the closeout for this is dang the money. Uh Appreciate everybody for watching. Follow us on all of our social links on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter because all that controversy. I don't know. I'm not calling it X.
Calling it what?
Twitter's been rebrand. Elon has rebranded Twitter. It's now X. It's just an X. It's weird. He killed the bird. It's no more bird. You don't tweet. It's weird.
What?
Anyway, long live, forever live Twitter. Uh,
Not on social media, so I have
yeah.
no social medias. Uh,
All our links are
Check us
down
out on
in the
YouTube,
description.
man. Discord, YouTube, like, click, subscribe, share it, declare it. join our gumbo server. We always talk about any and everything of interest.
All
Uh,
types of things.
yeah, come hang out.
Yeah. And as I always say, peace, love, blessings,
Yo,
and may the
yeah.
force be with you always.